Hello, welcome back. My name is Evgenia, and in this video we will review IELTS scores, what scores you need to get accepted to an international university, and what it means in terms of the required level of English. So there are three important questions that you have to answer when planning to take IELTS test and before you actually plan your preparation. The first question is, what module of IELTS do you need to take and do you need to submit to a university of your choice? In general, IELTS exists in several versions, and two of the most popular ones are IELTS Academic and IELTS General. They differ in terms of underlying purposes and also in terms of structure. IELTS Academic is the module that is required by most of universities if you're applying to degree-taught programs. And it has been designed and developed to assess your level of academic English and your skills to successfully operate in an English-speaking academic environment. IELTS General, on the other hand, has been developed to confirm general English knowledge, and usually if you're applying for a visa to Canada, for example, or your employer would like to confirm your level of English, or if you are applying for a training program which is not a degree-based, general module of IELTS may be sufficient. The second question that you have to answer is, what is the minimum score you need to demonstrate on IELTS Academic? IELTS uses the scale from 0 to 9 with an increment of 0.5, and these are also called bands. In your test results report, you will receive a band score per subtest, per section, as well as the overall band. The overall band is usually the mean of the 4 subtests that you take. It is very important to understand what IELTS bands correspond to in terms of the English language proficiency. And IELTS developers recommend an approximate conversion table where you can see what these bands correspond to in terms of the commonly accepted European framework, which we all are more familiar with. Knowing these levels is important as it will give you a targeted language proficiency that you need to actually possess to be able to perform on IELTS at the required level. It is also important to understand that each university sets minimum required scores, and it is absolutely a must to obtain the score if you would like your application packet to be reviewed. In general, band scores will vary significantly from university to university, and there are in general, two important principles that define how universities set scores. So the first principle is that the most competitive universities, where academic programs are rigorous and language is used extensively, will set higher scores. So for example, because the competition level to get accepted to some of the top universities in the US is much higher than in Europe, for example, they will automatically set higher scores for prospective applicants. The second principle is that even within one university, minimum scores may vary, and they will depend on the program. For example, social sciences and humanities, these are the programs where academic English is used intensively compared to, for example, mathematics and computer science, where we mostly rely on the use of numbers. The standards for English will be much higher, hence the minimum requirements will also be higher. So if you're applying to a variety of universities in different countries, it's important to review the minimum required scores. And again, if those are not mentioned on the websites, I would recommend to contact the admission committee and confirm what is the minimum level. It is noteworthy looking at how at the average scores of test takers from different countries. While performance on the test is highly individual, these statistics are important to look at as they will give you an understanding of the difficulty of getting such band score as 7.5, which is required by many of the US institutions. So if we look at the performance of students from top 5 countries by the number of international students in the United States, which is the most attractive destination for most of international students, we will see that the majority of test takers do not actually get 7.5. However, they do get 6.5, which is sufficient for most European universities. So this is just to demonstrate that getting C1 advanced level on IELTS, which tests advanced academic English skills, may be quite difficult, and hence you have to prepare in advance. The third question that you have to answer is you have to review whether your program or university has minimum requirements per subtest. As has been seen from the graph above, we can see that in general the majority of students perform much better on the reading and listening section, which generally test your receptive skills in English, as opposed to writing and speaking, which test productive skills. Productive skills take much longer to develop and require much more practice. As you can see from the example on the screen, the student does very well on the reading and listening section, performing almost at the highest level, while demonstrating fairly average skills in speaking and writing, and the difference is almost in one language level. And knowing that actually students perform quite different on these skills, universities have started to set minimum band scores per subtest. Hence, this is something that you have to check as well, because if you do not get the minimum required score per subtest, then you may not be even considered for admissions, and therefore please review that aspect as well. Now it's important to make sure that this goal is realistic and achievable. And there are 2 more steps to confirm that. First of all, I recommend that you take IELTS online practice test. This will provide you with a real experience where you can actually see the difficulty of tasks, and also you will get the results and you will be able to see what you have to focus on in your preparation. Second, I suggest that you are realistic about your current level and the level that you need to perform based on the minimum IELTS score required by your program. So if your program requires, let's say, 7.5 band, which is advanced, and your current level is somewhere between intermediate and upper intermediate, and there are only 2 months left, this becomes a fairly challenging task. So if this is the case, I strongly recommend that perhaps you again review your program choice. Perhaps you can find an alternative program with lower IELTS scores, which will make the efforts that you put into preparation realistic and attainable. Thank you for being with me. I hope this information was helpful, and I will see you next time. Bye.